Welcome to another Founder Wisdom Pod. We have Jacqueline Cooper with us today. She's CEO at the Maryland Blockchain Association, Blockchain Legal Institute. She's also an author and serial entrepreneur. We're going to talk about crypto today, blockchain, legality of it, and everything in between. This podcast is brought to you by podpire.com. If you want to start your own podcast or scale or monetize your own podcast, you can go to podpire.com. This episode is also brought to you by your friends at Qualia. If you want to optimize your brain as a busy entrepreneur, Qualia helps with focus, memory, and drive. You can go to neurohacker.com/CEO wisdom. Jacqueline, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm really excited to be here. My background is kind of diverse. I am an active attorney. I practice in the District of Columbia, but as you mentioned, I'm also an entrepreneur. So I've created a number of educational businesses that support our DeFi community.
How did you get into blockchain in the first place?
So I started about 9 years ago, and I was curious about how to open up a wallet. I actually met a woman in Scotland who helped me. And I also found back then that it was not very easy to connect with people, or at least I found it wasn't easy. So I ended up starting my own talk show. So as I met people, I could share out resources. But I ended up purchasing an altcoin, and then I became a Bitcoin miner. And so that's, how I got started. But it's been a long journey, and I've realized the need for reliable resources, so that way people can find products and services to help them.
And it's quite uncommon to get in the blockchain as a woman or to be a founder, for example. So tell us about your personality and your background and why that was attractive specifically for you.
Well, I've always followed a non-traditional path. I am in education, but as I mentioned, also in law. And I realized early on that a 9-to-5 job was a little bit difficult for me because I'd like to move around and do a lot of different things. So looking at starting my own businesses really kind of resonated with me. And the Blockchain Legal Institute actually got started because as an author of the Bitcoin Cinderella books, I was at a Bitcoin conference last May in 2023, and a young attorney came up, asked me for help and resources, and I shared, I'm happy to help you. But when she walked away, I realized that it's going to be hard for her to find tools and resources because there's no centralized library. So I turned to my associate and I said, I'd like to create a centralized library for decentralized resources. And that's how the Blockchain Legal Institute got started.
And how do you split your time between your various ventures nowadays? What's your focus?
So I definitely multitask both, personally as well as professionally. And I'm constantly writing lists, but I also am very fluid. I understand that some things on my list might not get achieved, and that's okay. I can move to the next day. But I'm also like a lot of entrepreneurs, I look at marks that I want to meet each quarter and each year. And then I kind of reverse plan. And with the different projects, I have, as I mentioned, different lists going, so I can keep track of what I need to be doing, and then also how to assign it, because we have interns and other people on our team. So it's definitely a growing community.
And nowadays, where do you see blockchain and crypto on the map? See that the Bitcoin price has again risen this year, but we've also seen it decline right after the FTX scandal. Do you feel that people are still bullish about crypto, blockchain technologies? Where do you see it heading?
Well, I see two different paths. There's the cryptocurrency path, which is dealing with the tokens and coins and Bitcoin. And then I see the blockchain, which is the business use path. And I think that for those in the finance market area, there's always going to be fascination about the meme coins and also about the rise in the leveling of Bitcoin. I think that individuals who are doing their research will see that there, and again, no investment advice, no legal advice, but that there are going to be certain tokens that are risky and others that might be a little bit more stable. So, and individuals have to decide in the long term what their portfolio looks like. On the blockchain use side, I think that it's a technology. And I think that more and more businesses from Web 2 will be using Web 3 and the technology, but not every business in Web 2 needs to go over to blockchain. So there's still a lot of development happening and a lot of questions that need to be answered, and people are solving, a lot of the problems in terms of privacy, identity, and passports, but there's a lot of applications.
What do you sell nowadays? Do you sell packages? Do you sell your time? Do you take equity in startups? How do you make money?
That's a good question. So the organizations that I've started, the Blockchain Legal Institute and the Maryland Blockchain Association, are member-based. So, and the purpose of the membership is to provide speaking opportunities as well as education. I also am an author of a variety of books, from Bitcoin Cinderella to the Digital Asset Organizer for attorneys and consumers. And so, so the books are one way, a vehicle for me to both earn, but also to give back. Because a lot of the books, I especially want to have corporate sponsors sponsor the giveaway of the books. So that way, those that are new to the space can gain the information that they need. In terms of my own personal time, I am an attorney. So, for those that need consulting or business consulting, blockchain business consulting, I do consult. And I also do webinars to help people in a variety of blockchain topics.
Right? Where do you foresee the importance of blockchain in this new AI age? Do you see it regulating the use of AI and potential AGI?
So artificial intelligence, just like blockchain, has been around for a long time. It's just now that it's gotten more commercial applications. Countries are now becoming more aware because of um, the ability to use it in different ways. And I know that the EU is actually on top of this and might be creating more restrictive compliance rules that that other countries might not want to follow. But the reality is that if you are doing business globally, you have to follow the EU rules. So unless I mean, I guess I should take that back, because a lot of countries and individuals don't want to do business in the United States. So they create a little geographical boundary or barrier around, so that way they don't have to do business in the US and think about the SEC. So it is possible that you can have a geo boundary. But for AI, I think that it is going to be used both within the blockchain as well as in the Web 2 side. And I think that the rules that are being set by the EU probably are going to be the model that people are going to follow.
Any comments on the comments of Trump yesterday saying that he wanted all Bitcoins to be mined in the US?
Not really one to speak about politics. However, I often question the advice that some of our politicians are getting, and who their advisors are, just because I don't know that the reality of the technology actually is being shared with them.
How can people be better educated about crypto, be better conversationalists, and make potentially better investment decisions regarding to crypto?
That's a really difficult question to answer, because of the fact that there is so much happening within our community, and to keep up with the change, it's really difficult. I guess the first thing that I would say to anyone is do your research, whether it's using the resources at the Blockchain Legal Institute's library or other sources. I always suggest to everyone, double verify, triple verify, make sure that you can find the same information on multiple sources, and don't be swayed simply because someone's a celebrity or happens to have access to the media. You really need to do your own research. The other challenge and problem is that when someone creates a token, and it's becoming more popular to do tokens within businesses, you still don't know the financial strength or weakness of the company. So it's no different than stock. You might buy a stock and that company might fold. You might buy a token and that company might fold. So you have to be willing to risk your investments, and you need to be thinking long-term and short-term. So you do have to follow the markets, and there's a lot of different factors that impact the market. So it's I don't trade because of the fact that I know I don't have enough time to learn the various the rules for trading. So you really have to kind of find your comfortable niche and then kind of do a deeper knowledge for that.
Are you still bullish on conferences? I see that you go to a lot of them. Tell an online guy like me why I should potentially be going to these conferences.
I have gone on a lot of conferences. I just came back from Consensus. I started going to conferences many years ago. The Bitcoin conference was one of them. One of the things that, and I'm coming up to the Bitcoin conference also. Denver I was at, I'm going to Toronto, I'll be speaking on different conferences. For me, you have to, if someone's going to a conference, you have to know what your purpose is. Are you going there to be educated, and are you going to be sitting and listening to the information being shared? And then if you are sitting and listening, just understand everyone has a pitch and a reason why they're speaking. So think about, what is it really, content for education, or is it content for a product or service in a sale? So that's something that if you're going to conferences, you can definitely learn a lot. And the exhibits, the booths there, it is remarkable to me the variety of businesses within our space, and both legacy as well as those that are startups. So I'm going to conferences to learn more resources.
What are your top objectives this year?
So I am in the process of finishing up 2 Bitcoin Cinderella books, the Bitcoin Cinderella and the Pink Sands Treasure of Bermuda. That got started last year when I was speaking in Bermuda at their FinTech conference. So I should be finishing that up in July. And then the next book that I've already interviewed these women, and they're phenomenal, is the Bitcoin Cinderella and the True Stories of Women in Bitcoin. And I can't wait to share their stories. So those are 2 projects that I'm working on. And then Blockchain Legal Institute has a variety of other events coming up that I'm really excited to always, share out, from the global virtual summits in March and October to some other in-person events as well.
Is there a way to separate the crypto scammers from the crypto community, or will these folks always be attracted to easy money?
I think that depends upon us as consumers, because one of the things that I've noticed is, you sometimes get emails, and if you don't look at the top header of your email and see that it's actually coming from the legit original company, there's that way to spot a scammer. But also there's a lot of phishing that's going on right now with emails. And I think people, just like, when the internet first happened with the blockchain and cryptocurrency, you have to just do your due diligence. So yeah, and on the flip side, from the security perspective, there are more people now in the investigation side. So I think that, not that I want people to be scammed, but I think that from an investigation perspective, the tools to track people are getting better. And so I think that we're going to see more results because of that.
Tell me a bit more about the Blockchain Legal Institute. Seems that you're selling memberships there. How do you make sure to get more of these memberships and grow on a year-to-year basis?
Well, it's not that we're selling memberships, and the Blockchain Legal Institute actually just got started in May of 2023, so it's just a year old. Really, the whole focus of the Institute is to provide access to a public library, but also access to the changing evolution of the laws around the country and also around the world. So the membership actually is a way to underwrite some of the APIs that we're integrating within the library. And as people who are members, they also are invited to become speakers, as well as to provide other educational access to those in the membership. So it's very much like a trade association in many ways, but within the blockchain community.
And what's changing from a legal perspective this year and the next couple of years in terms of crypto legality?
I think that we are going to see, because of a pushback from the US Congress, I think that we're going to see more of our industry, our community trying to do self-regulation. I think that there is concern that there'll be too much restrictions put on industries. And so I think that the community is going to step up and actually start to try to do some self-monitoring to make sure that the reputation of the community is maintained, and also educational support and mentoring. Within any community, there's a lot of mentoring. And I know that when I stepped in 9 years ago, everyone was very gracious as I asked questions. So I think that that's important to continue.
Well, Jackie, thanks today for being on. Where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. People can definitely go to the Blockchain Legal Institute, which is www.bli.tools, TOOLS. And we're on YouTube. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Crypto Mom 2 on Twitter. And so you can find me on all the social media channels, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And the Maryland Blockchain Association is also on meetups and Eventbrite as well.